What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fan? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench Podcast Network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shai, Kelvin, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. And for everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel. Help make the show the best that it could be. Now, let's talk some NBA basketball, and let's give props to one Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The season that he's having so far this year is really going underappreciated by the talking heads. They talk about him only out of necessity, when they have to, go over the action for any particular day when Oklahoma City plays, But as far as really shedding light on what he's doing, man, they're overlooking it. And I believe a lot of the reason is that, number one, he's an international player, being Canadian, and they're not convinced. They think what he's doing is a fluke. But if you look back at what he's been doing over the past 3-4 years, it should not be a surprise. And I believe what really propelled him to become the player that he is now is that 1 year playing with Chris Paul. When Chris Paul was traded from the Houston Rockets to the Oklahoma City Thunder, when OKC started to, trade away their top players, Russell Westbrook and Paul George, people like that, that helped Shai tremendously. Because remember, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Clippers in 2018, and then to acquire Paul George, they traded Shai in a truckload of draft picks to Oklahoma City to acquire PG-13. But sometimes, man, if you stay patient, eventually, man, you'll see that you have a hidden gem right in front of you in the palm of your hands, instead of looking at your young talent as trade assets. And that's what a lot of these organizations are finding out right now, that's been operating in all-time win-now mode and driven by player empowerment impulse. But Shai, that 1 year with Chris Paul, because Chris Paul, one thing, it can't be denied, man, he's a tremendous leader. And when he was traded down there to OKC, nobody figured they was going to do anything. And he led them to the playoffs. And Chris Paul finished the season as a runner-up to league MVP behind Giannis Antetokounmpo. And recently, Chris Paul said that was his most rewarding season, was that 1 year in Oklahoma City. But I believe, playing with Chris Paul really took his game to another level, began to take his game to another level, as Chris Paul served as a mentor. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. And really, a lot of these young stars, they need veteran presence on their team. I believe that's what's hurting Anthony Edwards after Karl Anthony Towns was traded, because that's the only team that Karl Anthony Towns ever played for. So having him as an anchor, helped bring Anthony Edwards along. And now he's been struggling this year. If you look back at Charles Barkley's career, when he was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in 1984, well, he studied under the great Dr. J and the late, great Moses Malone. They were his mentors. And then that helped him become the superstar that he became. Grant Hill played 4 years of college basketball at Duke Blue Devils. He's drafted by the Detroit Pistons, and Joe Dumars, the remaining mainstay from the bad boy years, the championship years of Detroit, he served as a mentor for Grant Hill. And it helps out, I'm telling you. And I believe that's what helped Shai. But as far as what he's doing this year, he meets the criteria to be the leading candidate for a season MVP. Last year, he finished runner-up to Nikola Jokic, which, Jokic, you really couldn't complain about that. Jokic, often considered the best player, or definitely the best center in basketball. And he earned his third MVP in 4 years. But this year, Shai meets the criteria. Oklahoma City Thunder has the best record in the Western Conference with at 29-5. They beat the Los Angeles Clippers last night at home by the score of 116-98. They won 13 games in a row, and they're doing this without Chet Holmgren, who was runner-up to Rookie of the Year last year, and he suffered that hip injury 2 weeks into the season. And they're still winning. And a lot of that is due to the leadership and ability of Shai. You know, he's not the most athletic player in the world, but he knows how to play. He knows how to play at an elite level. And like I said, they meet the criteria. And it's a lot of worthy candidates. You know, Jokic always going to be there. You know, while he's in his prime, Jason Tatum is playing great as a defending champion. Donovan Mitchell's playing awesome for Cleveland as they're having a historic season for their franchise. And Karl-Anthony Towns is balling in New York since he was traded to the Knicks prior to the start of a training camp. But I'm going to say Shai is the leading candidate for MVP. And Oklahoma City is set up so good, you know, with all the draft picks that they acquired and trading Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and then CP3, and then even like a Serge Ibaka, you know, Victor Oladipo. You know, they pretty much started over, man. And now you look at them, man, and they set up, I'm telling you, and they improved their team this year, bringing in Alex Caruso, signing was that Hartenstein from the Knicks. So they're in a very good position, and they're going to roll for a very long time. They're going to roll for a very long time, and eventually, this could be the year, because they're going. It looks like they're going to clinch first place in the West for the second straight season. And after losing to Dallas in a tough second round matchup last year, they have that playoff. They getting that playoff experience, and then once Chet Holmgren returns back, that's going to further solidify their interior defense, and they're going to be a tough out, and they very well could advance to the finals and eventually win a championship at some point down the road. So, but a lot of this is because of the play of Shai. He's definitely a superstar, and I would say he is the MVP. So he meets all the criteria. There's no like, well, his team is not winning enough games. No, he meets their criteria. He's not scoring enough points or whatnot. Well, he's one of the leaders in points per game. He's averaging 31 points a game, about 5.5 rebounds, a little over 6 assists per game. So those are MVP numbers, especially for a two guard. So I'm going to say Shai is leading the way for league MVP until further notice. So it's great to see, and the NBA better start recognizing these young players, because the more they try to shun them, they're going to become discouraged, and the league will stagnate. You know, and like I said, it's time to move on, man. It's time to move on. This era of super teaming and player empowerment, it has bogged down the league. Commentary, NBA commentary, has taken a major hit over the years, and it seems like the only goal now is to try to prove that someone is the GOAT at the expense of the future, at the expense of the tremendous past contribution of players from yesteryear. So at some point, man, they're going to have to do the right thing and move forward. Because if a player like this leads his team to the championship, no strings attached, no player empowerment, no shady activity to get superstars to join forces with you, and you just go out there and compete and lead your team, if he leads his team to the championship the way Nikola Jokic did 2 years ago, the way Giannis did 4 years ago, the way Steph Curry did and rebounded and did so 3 years ago, there's no reason in the world to justify the league keep on operating the way they currently is, man. It's not working, man. It's time to move on. And what better way to do so by recognizing the play of Shai. So I just wanted to drop that nugget real quick. Until next time, this is JB for BTB, Behind the Bench.